yeah. New week, new show. Gonna do what we do, like we do, when we do, how we do it. Almost Agreement, almostagreement@gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com, check out what's going on there. Hallaroo 24, the Halloween edition is up and rocking and rolling. Register your derby car or to be a street vendor today. You can click through the site and get all taken care of there. If you just want to come hang out or volunteer, you can get some information on that as well. October 26th, Holler Boo, the Halloween version of Hallaroo with the Soapbox Derby, Street Fair, and Rock and Roll Show. Speaking of exciting and cool things going on, the UT radio station has lost its shit, and people are going crazy about it. We'll talk about that. Other things going on, we'll see what they are as they pop up. Zoning stuff and elections. Early voting starts right now, so for those of you listening yesterday, early voting is upon us, and the elections are active, and my mailbox is here and all about it. So anyway, we're almost here. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to do a show here in the planet. Oh yeah, podcast writers and all that kind of stuff. Hi, buddy.
Hey.
What's new with you?
Oh, not much.
Not much. So every once in a while you say that, and then there is something, and I have to, kind of work it out of you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I forgot to check my mailbox in the last couple of days, or if it's just it all came today. Usually we check the mailbox on the regular. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 flyers today. Shane Jackson, from a standard postcard size to a full page, opens up to, so 8.5 by 11 folder, basically, of Shane Jackson stuff. Garrett Holt, handwritten note from Lucy, whoever she is, on the postcard version of Shane Jackson's mailers. So I haven't talked to either one of them. I've talked to Garrett many moons ago when he was running for a city council seat. And he did come knock on my door a couple months ago. But I haven't talked to him as of late. But, I don't know. It's happening. It's happening right now. So I got to try to follow up with that. So see if I can get those two in here and talk to them about it.
It's that time.
It is that time. My mailbox is going ape shit. I was joking with the Compass guys today because they were talking about finances and campaign finance and stuff like that. And their focus on this episode was the District 6 race. And I was like, hey, that's my race. I've been paying attention to that. I've interviewed about them, whatever. And Massey's war chest is significant. And I was like, I can attest to that, or at least my mailbox can.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten plenty of mailers from her. So, yeah, anyway, the election is on, and it's happening. We'll see. We no numbers yet. They'll report today's numbers Monday. And then it's a day after that. They won't report Friday's number Saturday, I don't think.
Early voting numbers.
Yeah. Which it'll just be how many people at what location.
Right.
And I guess you can add, I don't know if they do it in their, I don't remember if Chris does it in his release or not, but you can go and find out how many people polled Republican or Democratic primaries.
So I doubt there's anybody outside doing exit polling.
Oh, I bet you there is. I bet you there's poll watchers for both parties hanging out.
Yeah.
Maybe not doing exit polling per se, but I mean, that's the thing that I learned is that, so state law, when, nothing's online by rule. None of the precincts, none of the
report. Right.
None of the reporting or anything that's online. All the machines, when you go in and vote, you go in and you fill out a piece of paper and shove it in the machine, it scans it or whatever. It tabulates it internally. But that machine has what they call an air gap. It is not online. You cannot put it online for any reason. Everything that gets added to that machine and everything that stuff goes through a hard disk of some sort. And so, at the end of the day, whoever is the officer of that precinct or that polling location will print off their report, and then somebody takes that report down to the election commission, and then they compile from there. And so, what will happen? Thank you, Matt Shears, for helping me understand this. What will happen is poll watchers for the Democratic and Republican Party will be hanging out, and when that guy prints that report off, they'll say who won the precinct, and they'll answer those questions like that. I don't know if it's a rule that they answer or not, but they'll say whoever won this precinct, or here are the numbers. So they'll tell the numbers real quick while people are standing there,
yeah.
And then for Matt's case, whoever he has that's out watching that precinct will report that to whomever, and they'll tabulate stuff up internally. And so before the actual piece of paper gets down to the election commission for the election commission to start loading it onto the website, the parties already know who won.
Yeah,
that's why. That's why. If you remember, if anybody remembers the first year, we had an election cycle, and Matt called me during the right when the polls closed, and we were talking about it, and like in the middle of talking to me, he was like, "Yeah, whoever won this seat and whoever won that seat." And I was like, "I'm on the election commission website, and there is 0%. Like, the only thing it's showing is early voting or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, but we already know who won. Well, this precinct and that precinct and this, that, and the other." And I was like,
"It's literally been announced at the polling locations."
I was like, "I don't know how that works, man." And then it became apparent to me for security purposes, which makes sense. I actually kind of like the idea that they're not online, making them infinitely harder to hack. So, but yeah, early voting starts. I could give my predictions for races. It's all pretty straightforward. Massey's going to win the primary in 6. I think the one, there's a couple of interesting races that I don't have I wouldn't deign a confident guess on who's going to win because of some weird factors. I think it's District 2 in county commissions. No, I'm sorry, in school board. There's 4 candidates because there's 2 independents, a Republican and a Democrat. And then one of the other districts has a Democrat, a Republican who's running as an independent, and an independent. And so just for the sake of, because it is a it's not a presidential ballot, but because we're partisan peoples, the Republicans have no real shot, but whether the people go to the independents or not. Like Jennifer Owen in District 2 in school board is an independent. She hates the premise. She's a fucking Democrat, but she hates the premise of partisan school board, so she stands by her guns and says, I don't believe that we should be a partisan body, so I'm going to run for my seat in a nonpartisan way. And I can appreciate her for that.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be a weird one just because you have it's a very blue district. So the generic, I'm going to vote for the D, lends towards that candidate. But a lot of the people who would vote for Owens would also be the generic, I'm going to vote for the D most of the time. And so she may lose votes for not being partisan because of that. So we'll see how that one goes. But, yeah. Oh, speaking of, I'm getting text from Garrett Holt right now. What the fuck? Yeah, huh?
Have you registered?
No, he's trying to get me voter. I don't know if he's actually texting me. Daggone. That's April. I just wanted to remind you that early voting starts today and goes through 7/27, and he puts a link to knoxvotes.org. I wanted to ask if you would be I wanted to ask if you would willing to either A, take some time to go vote yourself, and or B, text 3 people you know and encourage them to vote today and vote for Garrett Holt. I mean, I can appreciate that he separates it. He's like, get him to vote.
And vote. And
if they're going to do it, they might as well vote for me. But I'm saying get him to vote at least first. The last race in this district was decided by 139 votes 2 years ago. So that would really help go a long way, and it would really mean a lot to me. Granted, I'm sure you probably know this since you talk about it every week. He would love to earn my support if he could. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I've got a couple weeks to figure it out because I haven't made my decision on that one yet.
It could have been worded as, ask 3 friends to vote and just asking you to vote for him.
Yeah, but he wants my 3 friends to vote. Like, I find it almost offensive that he thinks I have 3 friends.
You think I have 3 convincible friends that are registered to vote that aren't convicted felons?
We were joking on the Compass Cast today about how one of those things that you hear from people when they decide to run is that my community members had encouraged me to run for this office, or I was encouraged to put my name in the hat, or put my name in the hat for this race or whatever. And it's like, that is such an amorphous phrase. It could mean anything. Like, yeah, my wife told me I should run. That's a community member. That makes that a legitimate statement. Right. Or, apparently Mayor Ash apparently likes to, if anybody, he just likes to tell everybody to run for office. So Scott was saying that one time he was Scott was interviewing him for something. In the middle of the interview, Mayor Ash is like, hey, you should run for city council. No, thank you, I guess. But that's apparently, that's a Victor Ash thing. Everybody, if he talks to you for more than 5 minutes, he's encouraged you to run for office. Huh. And it's like, and then the other one being, it's like, if we were hanging out and I said, I'm thinking about running for District 4 next time around, and you said, yeah, you should, community members are encouraging me to run for the seat.
Right.
It's like, well, would you tell me no? Like, I mean, you might because of us or whatever, right. But like normal people in discussion were like, no, man, that's stupid. Don't do that. I think most people would just kind of generically be like, yeah, man, that's cool. Go for it.
Even like the Victor Ashton, like a former international ambassador endorsed me to run for a seat.
He doesn't remember it, but
right. He says it to everybody. But
I did meet him a little while back. Yeah. But and so I don't know. That was just a little funnyism because that was kind of the big question is it's the District 15 state house race with Dasha Lundy versus Sam McKenzie, that primary. Because I guess the important thing to take out of this kind of thing is like, so District 6, my Irvine Massey primary, it seems like we've talked about at length. Irvine is a zealot, for lack of a better word. She has her cause that she's after. So she didn't seek permission per se. Nobody in the party is supporting or discouraging her from running for said seat, which is a little strange. You would think that if the party's happy with Massey, they would try to tell people, no, please don't run as a Republican. That's not good for our Republicans. But generally speaking, the rules of the party, they usually say, we're hands off until after the primary, and then we'll go in and do our thing for our candidate, which seems to be the case that's happening in District 6 Republican primary. Inversely, the District 15 Democratic primary is the exact opposite. The Democrats are very, very upset with Dasha for running and are very, very vocal with their support for McKenzie. Now, the one exception in most bylaws is they will support incumbents. Becky Massey's an incumbent. And again, these are two parties, they're different parties doing different things. I understand that they're not the same entity doing opposite things in different districts. But it's interesting because generally speaking, both parties act the same way on these issues. They will support an incumbent candidate unless they want to get rid of him. Eddie Manis. Like they brought Elaine Davis in to run against him. They wanted him out. And so the Republicans supported a primary challenger to him because they wanted him out of there. But generally speaking, if it's an incumbent they like, they will support it and discourage somebody to primary them. They don't want people primaried if they don't need to be. And so Dasha got in trouble because some PAC ran an ad about her time at Knoxville College, which she's no longer with Knoxville College. And so like Knoxville College admin's all pissed off because it's like, she doesn't even work here anymore. She has nothing to do with Knoxville College. We don't endorse candidates. However, we do like Sam McKenzie a lot. Like that was the quote.
Wow. Like
it was like, we don't endorse candidates in a political process. Like, we don't actively support candidates or something like that. And then literally, however, we do like Sam McKenzie. He's helped us on this, that, and the other. We're working on our accreditation and some of that has helped us. And so
was that used as an endorsement for her at some point?
Yeah. Some PAC ran an ad with like talking about South College and her time there and her support for X, Y, and Z and using South College as a reference for her quality, I guess, for lack of a better word. And so that got a little heated in that little circle.
Now, is there ever a financial disclosure to where you can actually look and see how much the party spent on, like, per candidate?
I mean, the candidate's financial disclosure will show if the party has a direct contribution to them. But if the party independently, not different than a PAC, if the party is independently supporting a candidate, now I guess the parties do have some obligation to report X, Y, or Z, but it doesn't have to be in conjunction with. Like it's just like they report collecting and spending this much in a period of time.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, well, we spent this much on this candidate and this much on that candidate.
We spent this much on campaigning, but that campaigning could be across 10 candidates.
Right. And it's usually, and it's one of those two that it's a lot of the sentiment comes out of, well, major donors to the party also tend to be major donors to the candidate that the party likes. And so you can kind of look at donor lists and say, because like Becky Massey's a little bit in that camp. There's a lot of what is quote unquote the Knox County Republican power base that is donated to her campaign, who has not donated to Monica's campaign.
Yeah.
And so that implies at least that the party, because like if the party hates you, they're going to tell the major donors not to donate to you.
Right.
but it implies at least that the party is down on board with whatever. Okay, so have you followed any of this UTK story? This the radio host GM of UTK?
Huh? No.
It's a crazy.
Is it Benny?
Yeah, Benny Smith.
I just know the name because I would always hear him on the radio. He's been like kind of like the voice of UTK for years.
Right, and so so essentially, like from what I'm hearing on the conversation is essentially a few years back, the university had announced that they're restructuring some of the way WUOT, WUTK, communications, broadcasting, and journalism function as part of the university at large. So they're just kind of restructuring stuff, talking about not dissimilar to different, structural changes that Boyd, I'm not saying that Boyd particularly put this one in, but, the different structural things that Boyd has done over the last couple of years as president, or Don Day has done as chancellor of of this campus and all that kind of stuff. And so I guess the new head of communications, the communications department for the university or whatever, is kind of trimming the model down. And one of the complaints on their end, at least, is that this is supposed to be this was at least theoretically, it's supposed to be a student lab. It's a place where students get to come and physically test an activity, being radio broadcasting in this particular case. But apparently, and I didn't know this because I don't ever listen to the radio that much anymore, but apparently half the shows are run by local volunteers who are not students.
Oh, okay.
There is a bunch of students that are involved too, and so there's some of this, and so apparently there's a whole list of people whom are unpaid volunteers to this radio station who got an email from this new GM or whatever, basically saying you don't work here anymore. For now, maybe we don't know, but at least for now you can't come back in. And so there's this big hullabaloo, and it's like, Jesse, and I think Jesse has a unique voice on this because he is a former Metro Pulse writer. He sees WUTK as kind of the broadcast version of Metro Pulse currently.
Yeah.
That it's the one thing that has a real Knox local feel to its programming and to its DJs and stuff like that. Everybody else, even if they're local DJs, it's just this cookie cutter formulaic, country radio or whatever it is. There's, I guess you get the, what's the talk radio guys? The guy that looks like the bulldog on the Fountain City Finance commercials.
Oh,
Howler and Hilton Hill and the bulldog face guy.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
But you have those two, and even that station,
big red nose.
Yeah, even that station is
Phil Williams.
Yeah, that station is Phil. Well, it used to be the other way. They switched a couple of years ago. Phil Williams does the morning show. Halloran does the afternoon drive time home show. But the whole mid gap of the day is nationally syndicated talk, and then after Halloran comes off, it's nationally syndicated talk. So even that station, that is the most local news broadcast station we have, only gets us, I think 6 hours of the day that's actually local. Anyway, moral of the story is, for the scene and the people that are in the scene and are in that circle, this is a big effing deal that they put it, somewhere in this, I guess, Benny Smith, the rumor is floating around, and I underscore the word rumor because I am 3 or 4 levels removed from any real knowledge on it. But was basically, he was like, no, this is a cultural piece of Knoxville at large, not just a piece of University of Tennessee apparatus. Which, I go back and forth with how I feel about the university and its interaction with the city of Knoxville anyway. But, and so basically it's his leadership didn't jive with new leadership's plans for the future of the station. And so they haven't fired him yet. They might have announced it this afternoon. I haven't seen it officially yet. But they at least put him on leave and took him out of working and doing the job.
I hadn't heard anything about that.
Well, that's the whole story in a nutshell. All rumors and whatever. Because it's really weird. Because when they first started popping off, News Sentinel had a flash piece on it where they'd written a story and it got moved around, and I clicked through it on somebody posted it, and I'm reading the piece. It's really confusing. I don't know the people well enough and the format and the ideas and the general feel well enough. The context just sucked. Because somewhere in the article they're talking about how they'd reached out to Benny Smith and Benny Smith responded, but all his responses were kind of mum, he's not talking about it. And so, like, all anybody knew was that he wasn't there at a certain time. And so people who know him personally were texting him, and he was texting back, and all of, at least everything that had been reported that had come out of his mouth was nothing. Like, just nothing. But, like, everybody's reaction to it is like he got thrown off a bridge, and that he's fired, and that UTK is completely reformatting what they're doing, and they're getting rid of everything that is the current thing that everybody loves. That's the assumption with the actions, but nothing official. Like, there's no official statements from anybody really directly involved, other than people who got the email who were volunteers have posted their emails out, said, hey, I got this email from the new acting whatever of the radio station saying I can't do my thing anymore. And some of them being, you know, getting pretty good followings on the shows, doing 1,000 episodes of some punk metal show, The Funhouse. That's the one that just kind of popped back up on my screen when I was looking at stuff.
Yeah.
And it is one.
But they've had some shows that have been on there for years and years.
And like, one of Smith's things was he's like, he had always made it a point to, it's like Sinru had we did a live show. We did a live studio show once. No, that was 94.3 back then. What did we do? They had a local show that they did once a week.
Locals only.
Yeah. And then, but apparently Benny's thing is like, you know, it's like local show once a week. Yes, that's all local stuff. But on regular rotation, we're going to sneak in. If there's if it's the funk hour or whatever, and we have a local band that does something funky, sneak them in. Like, you know, sneak local bands. He was a big supporter of local bands, local music scene, which is cool. And it's a good thing. And it's something that a community needs. I don't think it needs to be associated with the university. So I'm actually poking around and seeing if anybody wants to start a radio station with me. See if I can't bring Benny out of retirement to run a radio station for me.
Interesting.
I mean, I can't imagine it's an expense. I mean, I don't know. I'm curious. I'll have to do some research. Like FCC regs and stuff like that are a whole other animal. Like internet radio is easy. But functionally, to make it to consider it to do the game of the commercial side of what is radio.
Yeah, it depends on what kind of format you're looking for. Because I know I hear about them a lot. For like the local, it gets made fun of a lot with like the local NPR station. You're getting that, like, oh, they're doing their Fund Week again, and they've got all their fun shows.
I got some ideas.
But I mean, they break down, and they list it out every once in a while of like how much like a particular podcast is that they do once a week, or that they put in the programming like once a week. And that one show for syndicating that or whatever per year is like $600,000-$700,000.
They did This American Life for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure This American Life is a pretty significant sum to get the rights, the exclusive radio rights to use it.
And you think about like how many shows that they have that are national shows.
Right.
So that's where you think about,
But
that's where I got to go back to your format of what you're looking at. Are you looking to, I guess, wanting to pay rights to play other stuff, or are you putting everything on yourself?
Well, I think to pay homage to what the conversation is about is it needs to be.
Right. I agree, yeah.
Where we could do some stuff with, I'm thinking, I don't know how to word this. I shouldn't maybe air this, but I'll do it anyway. I'm thinking do it salon format.
Salon?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
Like a stylist format. So build out an app, or like build the infrastructure and do whatever. Have the studio built. Sam's Silly Songs Hour, which is but sell it in 3-hour blocks. You have the station for 3 hours. It's yours.
Right.
And you're going to pay us. You pay the station for your time. We're got a little there'll be some different stuff. Like you have to push. Like we'll have some station ads that you have to put in. But if you want to run your 3 hours with no ad breaks, except for like I was thinking, like on the hour, there's a 5-minute on the hour every hour. Where on the hour we do like 2 minutes of station ads, and then like a 2 or 3 minute news break kind of thing. And then you have the rest of the hour. And if you want to do ad reads in there, you do ad reads in there, and you get paid for your ad reads. You just pay us X number of dollars per hour for use of the studio and the broadcast hour.
How am I making money? Selling my own ads?
You sell your own ads.
So when I go to sell ads, I'm selling for ad space on my airtime on.
Sure. And we can, again, like it would be like a co-op of radio. It'd be a co-op of radio producers. Right. Is essentially what would come of it, because eventually what would happen is, once we start getting filled up, we could have an in-house sales rep that potential ad people come to, and we can put different packages together where your show and his show and that guy's show have some ad time to sell. And depending on what the client wants, there's a million ways to do it. I'm just thinking of like as a different format way to do it, to let these people whom have been volunteering and doing free shows and just not making any money, just going and doing a radio show at WUTK. Well, you can come in and keep doing a free show. You have to pay a little bit for our facilities and time and space and stuff like that. But if you don't want to go out and sell ads and you just want to do your show, just go and do your show. Just pay me a little bit for our time and space, and you can do your show as you wish. Within FCC rules, because if we're doing broadcasts, we have to follow FCC rules and stuff. Obviously, prime hours are more expensive. Overnight, if you want to do the 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. or the 2 a.m. to 7 a.m. show, that whole thing's going to be $75 or something like that. That'll be the cheap time.
So how are you incentivizing people to be presenters on the radio station?
Well, if you have a good...
If they're paying you to be on your radio station.
Yeah. They have a good show. They build an audience. They make the money. So like you take a guy like Phil Williams or John Boy or whatever, like these random radio personalities.
Right, but these people aren't that.
No, they're not. But they come in there and they get a contract that they get X number of dollars a month or a year or whatever it is to be the personality for said radio show. It doesn't matter if the radio show sells 5 ads or 500 ads. They just get X. That's their pay. You get paid like as a producer of a show on this format. You make as much money as you can make, and that's up to you on how much you can make. Not up to me.
I think a lot of those radio contracts are.
Most of them
set up to not be a flat rate.
Unless you're a tip top person, and the experience that I've had in dealing with trying to be a client to advertise on the radio, a lot of the DJs don't make shit.
Right.
Directly. They make shit because one of their big thing is they want to do reads. So like if I was going to advertise on Trixie back in the day on 94.3, she hates me. That's a whole separate story. But like if I wanted Trixie to do my read instead of me doing the read or the generic, because they have a guy that just does reads all day that's no named or whatever.
Right.
But if you want Trixie to be like you're the ambassador to your product, to say, I use X from this place, you should check it out. That's where they make their money. And so they want to do ad reads, which I don't get it. Like we had a conversation with it was not Trixie once early in the vape game because there was a DJ on the alt station of the time, I can't remember what it was, who was into vaping, and basically it was like, give me free product and X number of dollars per ad read. And, like we kind of owned her theoretically. It's kind of some of it was kind of cool from the business perspective. It's like she was obligated. She would have been obligated in contract if she was stopped on the street by a fan that knew that she was a DJ or something like that. That she would be obligated, if asked, to answer where she buys her vapes from. And even if it's a lie, she was supposed to tell them she bought them from us, whether she bought them from somewhere else or not.
Odd contract.
Yeah, but that was part of it. It's like, like she as a human existed to promote us.
Right.
That was the deal we were working with them. But it was also like $2,000 a month that it was going to be, and we only got a little bit of airtime. But most of what we were paying for was the totality of her persona to be incorporated to our brand. Anyway, I don't know. It's kind of fun that I'm half joking about this idea of starting a radio station. Like I'm going to run it down. I'm going to talk to some people. I'm going to see if it's a feasible thing to do. And if the planets align, I'm going to take a swing at it. Like, it's not a complete, like, oh, that'd be fun if I did this kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I'm going to see. There's no point not checking it out to me. Because, I think, and I do, and again, this is let me be super transparent about it. I want to make some money first and foremost. I would like to make some money. I see this as an opportunity to pad my back pocket. But I do like the idea, like the way I'm committed to trying to get Happy Holler into a cool entertainment district for Knoxville, which also will line my pockets. I am committed to the premise of I do want, like, you know, we have we support local breweries as best we can. Like, that is a rule that we have in our businesses. It is not a financial incentive for us to do so. It's not necessarily the best and easiest beer to sell on the planet, but we like to support local breweries. I have a weird thing, and it's stupid, but like, I hate Yeehaw. I talk about how much I hate Yeehaw all the time. I hate Yeehaw because they're treated as Knoxville's brewery, and they're not a Knoxville brewery. It drives me nuts. It's not their fault that I hate them. It's News Sentinel and WBAR and everybody else in town who's so excited that Yeehaw has their stupid tap room down there. But it's, you know, it's like, you know, we have real good breweries in Knoxville that get zero attention. Like, we have, like, Schultzbrau's won a bunch of gold medals around in world beer competitions and stuff like that. Really? Zool's has won a bunch of medals and different stuff. A bunch of these brewers are out there going to whatever these things are where they win medals for the best X in America or in Tennessee or whatever the different
right, but they ain't named Yeehaw
convention is, and it's just exactly. But so, like, we have some award-winning breweries in town, and they get no love from local press. And so I hate Yeehaw for being the ones that get all the love from local press, because they're not bad beer. Don't get me wrong; they're okay. But you will not see me drinking Yeehaws. I will not option intentionally to drink a Yeehaw out of spite, because I'm a hateful person.
Okay.
And so anyway, I like the idea of trying to grow the locality, and I think this would be a thing. I want to see this. I want to see a scene. I don't really care to be a part of the scene per se, but I think it's good for Knoxville, especially as I pitch my fit about how much I think UT is turning us into a little corporate or a little, you know, company town bullshit. So anything that UT loses that we can do ourselves is a win to me. Another little spiteful thing, I guess, is part of this to me. Like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like what UT is doing at large. Like, I thought it was interesting. Owen, the summer intern for Compass, was talking about he goes to Michigan State. He's like, East Lansing is not really a place. It's the University of Michigan, or Michigan State University campus. That is what East Lansing is. It's not really its own entity. And he's like, I thought it was weird, you know, how separated UT is and how insular UT is from the city of Knoxville and stuff like that. I was like, A, you've lost your fucking mind. But B, I wish it was more insulated, personally. I wish it would close. I wish they'd build a wall around it, and people that need to be a part of that can go in and pass through the gates, and the rest of us just stay out and they stay in, and everybody's cool. I'm not kidding, dude. I'm like, I was pitching a fit.
I can understand that to an extent. When I go downtown during, like, anytime in the day when the school session's going on, it's a pain in the ass. I'm like, oh fuck, it's fucking like class change time.
I mean, it's not even that though. It's that, again, like, I will be. I don't know if I could believe even if you had like some sort of tangible proof. I don't know that I'd believe that the city of Knoxville has put any real thought into a new Civic because they treat Thompson Bowling as their Civic. I don't think that if the city of Knoxville leadership was honest about this stupid bridge, that they would actually want it. They want it because the university wants it, and I don't know why that the university wants it makes the city want it. It has no positive value to the city other than it gives us potentially a cool thing to look at when we're on the river. Like, it's not going to it's not going to be a tax revenue increaser. I would say, if anything, we're going to lose tax revenue as a city as this project comes to fruition, because the university is going to keep sucking up any land they can, and any land that the university owns does not pay property tax. So anyway, I'm an alum. I got my national championship thing over here. I got my alumni stuff all over the place. I love that university. I met my wife there. That band was the best thing that ever happened to me. But I also would like Knoxville to be, like, again, like I always reference, you go to Atlanta, Yeah, Georgia Tech's there. It's not you go to Georgia Tech and there happens to be this Atlanta nearby. Like that's what I would like to see Knoxville. In the growth that we're in, we're past the point. Like I think East Lansing's a different story because I'd have to look up the official numbers, but I think East Lansing, when school's not in, is like 100,000 people. And when school's in, it's like 150. Like a third of their total population is students.
Yeah.
And so if it's that much of your population, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like 10% when school's in session here.
I think it used to be more.
Yeah. Because it's always been big, and Knoxville was much smaller. I mean, I'd like to look back at some census data, be interested to know the exact numbers, but I'd be curious what like the 2000 census for Knox County was.
Yeah, because I was in the 90s. That's when like the joke was that Knoxville and Chattanooga were kind of like rivaling each other. The only time that we outpaced them was whenever UT was in session.
Garrett, geez, buddy, relax. I just got another text from Garrett.
Goodness.
This is his campaign one instead of him. I think the first one was him personally, actually.
It's thirsty.
It is his personal one, yeah. He personally texted me, and then his campaign texted me. Fucking labradoodle. You might have just lost me.
And if you'll tell your friends, like 3 of them, please.
Garrett Holt here. I'm running to serve as your next county commissioner. My priorities include improving our traffic problems, stopping overdevelopment, supporting our public schools. Garrett, buddy.
Oh, does he know when we cast? Is he doing this just
He
to...
might be.
He's like, if I do it like while they're like, I'll blow him up like while they're doing it, and then he's got to talk about me.
Schools? I'm all right. Well, you guys can listen to me text back and forth with Garrett for a minute.
Oh gosh, let's not do this.
Whatever, fine. Anyway, Garrett's doing what Garrett does. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with that one. I might just call them both and do like a quick short one over the phone. I just haven't had the time. This stupid hemp law thing has got me busy.
Yeah, I did see was it one of the local stations did an article about, I guess there were already like countersuits in place for THCA. Yeah, if they tried to ban it.
That is the problem. Like I had a phone call with the head of HDC for the Tennessee Department of Agriculture. This person is the tip top of the new hemp department, basically, that they put together to deal with this. Had about a 90-minute phone call with them. That's one of the things I reference. Like local news is talking about how this is going away. I don't understand, and they're like, I don't know how that got that. I don't know what that set of information that they're running that story off of is. And it's like, okay, well, what's happening? And it's like, it's just a testing game. It's really all that functionally it is. And so there is, like, okay, so the lawsuit thing that you're referencing is the funniest, most genius thing. I heard about this a couple months ago when I went to a sit down with some of the other local industry people and a.
That sounded like more like a trigger thing, was that they were trying to prepare for if it came to the fact that it then did get outlawed. That they were already ready. They were already prepared to sue if it did get outlawed.
The problem is, okay. So my understanding of what's going on with that is that, so everything in the law says is they call it hemp derived cannabinoid, right?
Right.
And so they have all these things that are HDCs for short, hemp derived cannabinoids, and like what you could sell, how much you can sell of it, what format you can sell, how much you can have in what percentage it can be in testing, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, that's fine. And then they're like, well, flour counts as a hemp derived cannabinoid, and it's like, well, that makes no sense. And the best kind of analogy I've kind of put together for this, and you're going to think it's ridiculous, but it's accurate as fuck. If I were to make a banana split, that is a banana-derived dessert. A banana is a piece of that dessert. I took a banana, I added other things, I changed the banana as well as other things to make a new thing. A banana itself is not a banana-derived product. It is a banana. And so that's the case that's going to go about the flour that's happening right now. Is the law as written is only regulating hemp-derived cannabinoids. Well, hemp is not a hemp-derived cannabinoid. It is the base product that makes it's where the derivative comes from. It's the banana in the banana split. A banana split you could regulate if you're regulating banana-derived products. But a banana is just a banana.
Yeah.
In this case, hemp is just hemp. And so you can't, the law doesn't give them any, the argument is the law doesn't give them authority to regulate raw hemp. And so that's the argument for flower moving forward. But like the pre-rolls that you see in shops and the disposable vapes, and it's only for inhalants. So like gummies and stuff, it's actually kind of funny the way they wrote the edible law makes it way better for people who want good product. I'll go into that in a second. But for any of the inhalants, whether it's smoke or vape, it's just a testing thing. When THCA gets hot, it turns into Delta-9. And so basically they're saying if we test it, I don't care what's in the dry flower, what's in the smoke or in the vapor is what we're testing. And it's going to be a strong amount of Delta-9. That's the reality. And so some of the vapes are going to have to come off the market. The pre-rolls are going to come off the market because they follow the definition of a hemp-derived product. A pre-roll joint doesn't exist until you do something with the hemp and make it into a new thing. That is why it is hemp-derived. That's the argument, at least, for the lawsuit that's going to come down here in the next couple of days or weeks.
I kind of get the argument, but I don't understand, like, the pre-rolled versus selling it loose.
Because it's
kind of what you're. I mean, I understand it's loose in a pre-rolled format, but it's still the same.
Right, but that is a new
same
thing.
Product.
It is a new thing. Like taking all the flour and putting it into smaller bags is not creating a new thing.
Right.
You're just dividing the thing that already exists. But taking that thing, grinding it up, putting it into a cone, and twisting the end and putting it into a new final packaging, that is. You're deriving a new thing, and so that would fall under the definition. It's just definitions. It's legal. It's not that it's not functionally different. It's just legally different by the definitions that this law put in place.
Just wonder if that'd be any different than selling like a super cheap like glass piece. It's like a prepared, like pre-packed, like glass piece.
No, you couldn't sell them as one. You could sell them separate. You could sell like a half a G in a baggie and a disposable.
Right. That's essentially what you're doing with the pre-roll is you're essentially.
Yeah, but it's already done for you. You have to do the consumer has to do that bit of legwork. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And so, there's questions like, could we build a rolling station in the corner and you can buy your stuff and go in the corner and roll your own stuff up and then leave? Because we're not doing it, you're doing it.
Right.
Would that be would that be a feature that our customers would use if we invested in it?
Are they then leaving with an illegal product?
But I didn't sell them. It's not illegal anymore because I didn't sell it.
Right, but you allowed them to transform a legal product into an illegal product.
I didn't allow anything.
You turn a blind eye to it when you set up the station in the corner?
No, but once it's in the consumer's hand for consumption, they can do with it as they please. That's not how...
You just happen to have a station that conveniently allows people to be able to process.
Okay. But the legally speaking, they're only regulating the producers and the retailers. They're not regulating your use of it.
Right.
They're regulating my sales of it. And that's what we're talking about. Although I like your take on it. I'm not disagreeing with you. It's funny. But legally speaking, no, it has nothing to do with that. Because your use of it as an individual is up to you. The edibles thing that's hilarious, and maybe I shouldn't say this on air. They'll have to do an amendment and fix it. But the way they have any of the edibles is it just has to be combined cannabinoids of 25 milligrams or less per serving. No maximum number of servings. No maximum number of servings per container. No definition of anything other than that being a serving.
Right.
And so, again, the analogy I like to put together, we could put a 250 milligram gummy together that'll send you to Mars. And as long as the packaging says that is a 10 serving gummy, that is within the legal framework.
Right.
Now, we don't do that. I don't produce anything in our place, but that's what I predict we'll start seeing in the edible side of the market in the next year. As people start getting on board with what's going on here and start understanding it. I am a little pissed off about it because I understand it better than A, Department of Agriculture does, B, Department of Revenue does, C, Becky Massey or Elaine Davis do. That pisses me off. But more importantly, what I'm kind of a little pissy about is that they have made it clear that they're not really going to enforce it for a while. Which some of that's their own fault because technically applications were due by July 1. Applications weren't available until 4 p.m. on July 1. But, so they're, you know, we're all working together to get this thing done. It's like, yeah, I don't like that I am working together with you on this project. I would rather we just go back to things and be okay. But, you know, I'm going to go through and we're going to be, you know, when ag comes out and revenue comes out and talks to me and looks through my stuff, I'm going to be 100% compliant and we're going to keep doing what we do.
I applaud your effort.
But I'm going to be mad. Like I told this story before and I'll tell it again. The tax thing went into effect last July. So we've been taxing the additional 6% since July of 23. In April of this year, a Department of Revenue inspector came by, and I wasn't there, but he came by, left his card, talked to my staff. Basically, the story from staff was, yeah, he came by and asked us if we were charging tax on hemp products. We said, yeah. And he said, great. And he left. He left his card. Staff sent me the picture of his card. I called him. I was like, hey, man, my name's Seth. I own one of the places you were stopping in today. I just was, you know, trying to follow up to see if there's anything that we could do to make sure, you know, I was trying to be the proactive, like, I'm on board to make sure everything's cool with you, man, so you're cool with us. And he's like, yeah, we're just kind of going around educating retailers right now. I was like, what does that mean, educating? He's like, well, we're just trying to make sure that they know they're supposed to be charging the tax. Okay. What is that? What do you mean? He's like, well, you know, we're not writing tickets or fines or anything like that. We're just educating them so that they know that they're supposed to, so that they can get it fixed and get the format set up so they're doing it. So, so you're telling me that this tax has been in place for 9 months, and you're going out to places that are telling you, no, we haven't been charging tax for 9 months, and your reply to that is, well, you need to fix that, please? That pisses me off. I've had people yell at me. I've had customers complain to me about how expensive we are. And we are a little more expensive than the average shop. That's part of what we do. We go after quality product, and we have a quality for blah, blah, blah. That's our thing. But when 6%, which doesn't sound like much, but you add that to the 9.25%, it adds up pretty quick. You know, we're doing 15+% tax on everything. And people are complaining about me being expensive because the guy down the street's only doing 9% tax on everything. It's a noticeable difference in your total if you're getting the same quantity. You're going to get 3 grams from me, that get 3 grams from that guy. At, you know, 10, 12, 15 bucks a gram, 5-6% adds up pretty quick as a noticeable difference. Well, I can go over here and get, you know, about the same quality stuff for way cheaper. It's like, well, part of that way cheaper is because that guy's not fucking making you pay the tax that he's supposed to. And Department of Revenue is going around and being like, hey, man, you need to charge these people tax. And that's all they're doing. That makes me angry. I am punished for doing it correctly, and that is not okay with me. And I'm afraid that ag's going to do the same thing. I am bending over backwards. I have been ripping my hair out for 2 months trying to get this set up right so that we are in compliance with a entity that doesn't know what the right answer is anyway.
Maybe it's in the effort to then be able to turn around and be like, no, we had an agent go to every single place that was on our list.
Ignorance of the law is not exemption from it, man.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So this is now and been like, hey, we actually sent someone to each one of your locations. It was like, hey, you've been told you're supposed to be collecting taxes on this. You've been warned, basically.
But I don't think a warning is appropriate. Not 9 months after the fact. The first couple months, sure.
I'm saying maybe this is a precursor to them being able to.
I do. I hope they're going out and they're laying the hammer on people.
To where now, you know, a business can't say, hey, I didn't know. I didn't know any better.
I resent that.
I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And that, I don't know. It kind of feels like a lot of times you hate the over-broadening reach of it, and then now you're pissed off that they are kind of slow walking this and giving businesses the benefit of the doubt. And not being as
I think I can
overly egregious.
I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Yes, I can be mad that this thing exists in the first place. Yes, and I can also be mad that if it exists, and I'm going to go about making sure that I am doing it correctly, that they're not following through with making sure other people are doing it correctly. I can be pissed off at both things and not and that not be it's not a mental gymnastics trick I'm trying to do here. They're both. I can be angry about both things at the same time. They don't conflict.
So you're mad at the under enforcement that they're not catching other places that are doing it and aren't getting caught doing it.
I don't think
But
you're right.
You're getting mad because you're doing the right thing and not getting praised for doing the right thing.
Well, no, I don't care about praise. I am doing the right thing, and I don't care if I'm getting praised or not for doing the right thing. But if I'm going to bother and put the time and energy and dollars that it takes to do the correct thing by the new law in place, then those who either are ignorant of it because they don't pay attention to what's going on in the industry, or flat out refuse to do it, should be getting the hammer. Yes, and I can also say I could say that phrase, and I can also say, but I don't think the law should exist in the first place, and that's not incongruent to me mentally.
I'm talking about the fact that you don't want it to be a law in the first place.
Okay. Yes, I think if they're going to, I think if they're going to do this, they should have put some brains actually on the job to set it up in a way that had any possibility of being functional from day one, instead of this mess. Like, they don't have answers. Like, we don't have, like, some of the on-premise stuff, like a very popular subset of the edibles have become cocktails and drinks and stuff like that. There is no guidance on that. And it's like, well, what does that mean? It's like, well, we don't have an answer for you. Well, am I breaking the law or not? We don't know. Well, when will we know? Check back. It's your job to figure it out. Okay. If it's my job to figure it out, then I will figure it out. But anybody who doesn't bother figuring it out, you better get on for it.
Yeah, I'm with you on your logic in that.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, because I would wager, I could think of a couple shops that I know the people at who probably don't even know that any of this is going on. That they've been selling hemp and hemp-derived products for years. And they're just buying and selling and buying and selling and buying and selling. Like, I mean, you think the pilot, some GM at a pilot gas station or KC's or whatever has any idea on any of the stuff that's going on in that little cabinet that they put in those places?
Yeah.
I think, other than it has to be sold 21 and up, I don't think they know shit about shit. I think Pilot proper might, and I'm assuming they're going to pull it.
It's the person above them that's given the yay and nay of what can or cannot be on the shelf.
Right. I'm assuming that, like, most of the gas stations are going to pull it. It's not worth the energy and effort to get the permits and licensing and do all the stuff that they have to do to keep it.
Right.
Which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. That's a good thing. That is one of the few good things to me, if that becomes reality, is that these gas stations who never bothered to take an ounce of effort, it just got sold to them by some rando wholesaler that does a bunch of other stuff.
Okay, you can make money on this.
Right. This whole box of stuff, you pay $300, you'll sell it for $900. Okay.
Yeah.
So that is the hope. That's the fingers crossed positive take on some of this. Anyway, I didn't want to spiel on that. I apologize, but it's frustrating. Functionally frustrating, just because I can't get. There's no, like, they just don't know what they're doing, and I don't mean that in a slight on ag. It's not really ag's fault. The way the law was written was terrible. It's terribly nondescript or nonspecific, and there's just no, like, it's just there's no logic to it. Like, it's just dumb. So anyway, we're going to take advantage of the bad parts of it, and we're going to lose stuff that we lose, and that's just the way it is. But it sucks because I'm trying to, like, all of that spiel and 50 other versions of this spiel that I've done in the not so distant past. I'm trying to figure out how to water that down into a palatable version for all of my staff, so that when customers ask,
right,
they can, because people come to us with questions,
right.
Like I can't count the number of people last week, and I barely spend any time in the shop anymore. But I happened to be there, and I saw a thing on WBR about this is going away. It's like, nah, no, new laws will take effect. It's a whole big spiel, and it's like, this is a big, complicated, weird thing. The short version is, yes, you will see some changes. No, we're not going away. That's the best I can give you as an answer, because they don't have an answer to the specifics of what's going to change yet either. So anyway, radio station gas guy. This is a fun story. Have you seen this stuff?
No.
So, I cannot remember where this thing started. Secretary of State's office? Like sent letters to people stating that it's illegal to vote in an election if you're not a registered voter, basically. But it was specifically targeted at immigrants.
Right.
Which I'm really curious about. Like, would, I don't know. This is Chris Davis' question. Chris Davis, hit me up. Let me know. Like, how many people try to vote that aren't registered voters? Because the way I understand in the format, right, the format would be you walk in, you're not on the list because you're not a registered voter, and you would have to ask for, what do they call it, a provincial ballot? Is that what it's called?
Guess so, yeah.
You know, and you fill out the paperwork that goes along with it and get a provincial ballot. Provincial ballot gets cast, and then if there's any challenges, it would come to, they'd go dig through whatever. It's like, so yes, you could technically vote if you're not registered, if you're not a legal citizen in this case, but
I think it gets double checked off of a registered voter roll. So if you
weren't
listed as a registered voter, that vote wouldn't count.
I don't know if it gets checked before or after. I think it counts it unless there's challenges to numbers. I don't know. Good question. I do have to ask Chris Davis about that. But either way, it's like I cannot imagine there is a significant sum, if any, on a regular basis.
Let's say you have the handful of like inadvertent, like that didn't realize they weren't registered in that area or weren't registered because they hadn't voted in so many elections or whatever.
I mean, I guess the implication, the implication here is that the immigrant is so dumb to think that I'm in the United States, I can vote in the United States.
Yeah,
that's the implication of this thing that's going on, which I find hard to believe. I think they know they can't vote, especially if they don't even have a green card or a visa or anything. If they're fully actually illegal, I think they know they can't vote.
Right. I don't know why they would think they could. Like, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like, I don't need to put it on paper that I've been here.
I don't know. It's just fascinating. It's a very fascinating thing. It goes back to, I mean, again, it's not.
There was some big federal thing recently that I saw some video on, some like Democratic Congress people pushing back on Republicans, and I think it all had to do with voting in D.C. And it had to do with, I think, like illegal votes, and they're like, and that's what all the Democrats were saying. They're like, they can't vote in federal elections. Like, I don't know what this is about. Like, this is not a thing that it's happening. Like, they cannot vote in federal elections. Like, it's illegal for them to vote.
Right. It's just like, again,
like, it was more trying to push back on some of the like illegal immigration rhetoric that was going on. They're like, you know, some of the GOP were they're bringing all these people in, so then they can just kind of flood the voting. And
look, Trump does Trump does fantastic with Hispanics. Hispanic males love Trump.
Like so.
There's polling that like. It is a plurality. It's not an outright majority, but it's like 40% of Hispanic males would vote for Trump. 30% would vote for Biden. Like stuff like that. Those numbers like that, where neither are over 50% because they don't like non-respondent whatevers and stuff like that. But yeah, and I mean Trump does well with black males too, which is abnormal.
See, I thought I saw something recently that like he was struggling with blacks and Latinos.
No, I don't know. I've seen maybe it's changed in the last little bit, but do you watch any of that presser with old Joe?
No, I heard that he went on something.
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was better. It was way better than.
I heard like he still made flubs in that.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I think okay.
Like he. Well, maybe I'm thinking like the NATO thing. Like apparently, like the NATO thing, he came out and was introducing Zelensky, but introduced him as Putin.
Right, vice president. So, and there was some vice president.
He did something
Trump,
with like vice president
yeah.
with Harris.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was in reference. The other flub that I heard about.
I've seen some memes on it. I didn't catch the original. I mean, it was way better. It was way less painful to watch. Not that it wasn't painful to watch. but I watched like 30 minutes of it, and it was rough. It was less rough than the debate by far, but it was still real rough. I mean, I don't know, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm pleased. I'm upset that this conversation wasn't a conversation 2 months ago, that it had to take something like this to get this conversation to be allowed to be talked about. I think it's a mistake for the party at large to just say, fuck it. I mean, there is part of it that no matter what, there are a lot of people, I know many of them personally, my sister has referenced last week when we talked about it, who will vote for Biden regardless.
Right.
Because their mindset is, if I don't vote for Biden, then Trump is going to win. I mean, their mindset is, even if I do vote for Biden, Trump might win anyway. So I have to at least vote for Biden to do my best to keep Trump from winning.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. And that's like, I get that mindset, but how pathetic is that as a country?
So sort of think of it last week, and I don't think there's ever been a time that, there's been the possibility of an incumbent president and that person just not run. And trying to think of, like, how do you dissuade someone that's just had their first term as president? And that the party's still trying to say, like, hey, look at all these great things we've done in this, in this past campaign and term. We need to do this again, but we need to do this with somebody else. We've been doing great, but we're going to go with somebody else. Not that we've been doing bad.
Well, okay, so there's.
So, I don't know how you have that conversation.
There's two questions here. It's like, so who runs the country? Is it like, do we really think it is the individual by themselves, or is it the apparatus that individual and the party puts together? Because I think either way, if you're the Democratic Party right now, you're admitting, you're tacitly admitting that the president doesn't run the country. I mean, you're tacitly admitting that either way right now. Whether you say, like you're talking about, we think we've done really good stuff and we want to keep doing really good stuff, but we're going to do really good stuff with somebody else.
That's what the party says.
Right. I agree.
And trying to throw their support behind one candidate or another. Right.
But I'm just saying, like that idea is tacitly admitting that the team that is the party is the one that's doing the job, not the individual. That's the sales. That's the pitch you're trying to sell when you're trying to do that maneuver. The inverse being, this guy is obviously an advanced age, and it is becoming an actual functional issue for this individual. And if we keep him there, then that's fine. We'll continue doing what we're doing, but it's clear and obvious that he's not the one that's going to be doing any of the things that we're really talking about. I hope. I guess maybe that's my hope in a cynical sort of way. Like, that's the guy that gets the nuclear football? Neither one of them. Like, that's the thing. Like to me, like...
I guess, but how you want to...
Maybe that's the rule. Sorry, go ahead.
How you want to put that is then, yes, this president has done, great things. We as a party have done great things in this, and trying to differentiate the two.
Maybe that I think that's
and then
it.
Trying to... I'm just kind of wondering, like, how is a party politico aficionado, how you go from endorsing a candidate.
It is right. It is a complicated. It's going to come off poorly no matter how you do it.
Right.
Do you see the Jon Stewart on it?
Like, it's not you, it's us.
Have you seen the Jon Stewart monologue on it? It was a good one.
I saw his one after the debate. Don't think I've seen a more recent one.
Yeah, it was a more recent one. It was basically the same thing that everybody else is allowed to talk about now. It's like, this guy is too old, and he basically put his format. It's like, have him step aside, let the convention elect somebody. It's like, because we as the populace are so starving for anybody just to at least pretend for half a second that they actually hear us at all. In the littlest bit of a way. Just for the love of God, do not let this guy be your nominee. Give us somebody else. Just let it's like, I think in the Jon Stewart way, it's like, if only there was a time where we could get a bunch of people in the party together, maybe in a city like, I don't know, Chicago, to hang out and talk about some stuff, and then elect a candidate for them to run under their banner, that might be the perfect format to get us a new candidate for president or something like that. Just making fun of it's like that is the function. That's what the conventions used to be, but they're not especially this time around. They're not anymore. And so it was a good I wish I would have. If I would have prepped better, if I ever prepped at all, maybe it's a better way to say it. I could have pulled it up and set it aside, and we could have plucked it. But it was a good one.
Yeah, I don't know how much of his writing that he does, but he has some good monologues.
He will. I think there's a good some that is him, or maybe it's him idea, and he has some writers do a little massaging for him.
All right.
I mean, he's done some before Congress that have been
That's
amazing.
what I was about to say.
Good God.
Yeah, I don't think he had a speechwriter.
His 9/11 stuff. Ooh.
That sounded. It was definitely off the cuff, as it was 10, 15 minutes into him talking about stuff. I don't think he was reading off of pre-prepared remarks.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely prepared a speech, but he definitely he knows the topic. That is a very personal one to him. The 9/11 stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's the 9/11 stuff and the fucking burn pit stuff for soldiers. Those are two big ones for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know. So the joke I kind of thought about in the middle of that should be this is your test for who you vote for president is which of the people on the ballot do you trust with the nuclear football? Because I don't know what my answer is right now on that one. Because it ain't Trump, it ain't Biden, and honestly, it ain't RFK Jr. Jill Stein's probably, honestly, I think Jill Stein's probably might be my vote, and I hate Green Party stuff. But if that's going to be I don't know, that might be that if I think about it hard enough, that might be one of my chief parameters. I'm good. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you're asking for one of my beers. Sorry. Yeah, you're welcome to whatever's in there, man. Go nuts. There's some ultras in there too if you want a diet beer. But yeah, I still don't know who I'm going to vote for in that. I still I'm still kind of stuck on RFK. I think RFK just because I want to see a third party get 20-25%.
Seen the weird shit that came out about him recently?
Which one? His Swiss cheese brain? That's old.
No, that's a Swiss cheese brain.
That's old. It's like a brain parasite.
No, it was some new thing about. I guess it was some old story that alluded to him eating dogs, and he's had to come out recently to be I have not. No, I do. I've never eaten a dog. Right, I do not want to eat a dog.
Some pathologist or something analyzed a photo of him eating some sort of meat, and by the photo he could tell that it was a dog and not.
I never heard where it originally came from. I thought maybe that it was something he had done in the past, he did some weird travels and
that. Yeah,
it got alluded to, but never heard the origin story of it. But he actually had to come out recently and
he should be excited.
No, I have not eaten a dog.
I mean, he should be very excited about that.
Well, that he's getting coverage.
I mean, not just getting coverage, but that's the level of ridiculousness that they feel the need to go to.
You should be president. You've eaten a dog.
I mean, exactly. But it's I don't mind. If he was it Thailand? Where is it that it's semi-normal practice?
It's assumed in parts of Korea.
Is it Korea? Okay, I don't know. I remember I was watching Cam. God, what's his name? Meteor, the Meteor podcast, Meteor TV show. Cam Haynes.
Don't know.
Anyway, one of the hunter guys that I watch some of their videos and stuff like that. He was in somewhere in South America, and they were eating some sort of monkey. They were hunting. He wasn't he just went and lived with the tribe for a couple of days. That was the whole episode. And they go out and they hunt this certain monkey, and they're roasting it over the fire or whatever. He's like, I don't know if I can do this. And he was had this it was this conversation to the camera. He's like, yeah, it's weird. Eating monkey's weird. That's a little bit too close to us. You know what I mean?
All right.
But it's also I respect these people and what they're doing, and they're living out this is a real jungle tribe, no contact generally with the outside world kind of stuff. They're most their only import is shoes or something like that. They love shoes. They keep talking about his shoes all the time or something like that. It's a really funny little little tangent. Like they have enough, like, canoes and little shacks and stuff that they hand built and all that kind of stuff. But it's like they took me in and they did this thing and they want to cook this. Like I went out on the hunt with them. I didn't hunt per se, but I went out on the hunt with them, and they want to share their harvest with me.
Right.
I have to. And he's like, it's really, and then in post, he's like, it's really weird, but I'm glad I did. I feel like it was the appropriate thing to do. It's like, I can see that. I can see getting a little weirded out. I don't know if I could eat a dog. I don't know if I could eat a monkey.
Right.
Hippopotamus.
Depend on my options. If I didn't like that was the only thing I was going to have to eat for a couple days.
I mean, I think I would out of respect in the situation. Like if I can't, like if I was on a thing like that and I was in your village and you wanted, like in this, like
right.
I'm an honored guest, and as an honored guest they want to give me, I feel like I would do it. I think that's the
situation. You're sitting around a fire, everybody's looking at you like, yeah, you're going to put that in your mouth and eat it and be like, oh, thank you. Oh.
So anyway, I think the moral of the story here is that even if it was a dog, we don't know the context of the story on why he was eating, what he was eating, and where he was eating, because it was in the, like it was on camp. It was like a camp scene that the picture was. It wasn't like he was sitting at a table.
Like I said, I don't know the origin of where it was, but I heard that he at least recently had to come out and be like, no, I don't like eating dogs. I'm like, whoa, where the fuck did this come from?
I mean, but again, like I said, like if you're the campaign, you're super excited about it, and in a 3D chess kind of way, a 4D chess kind of way, maybe the campaign is the one that actually started the process.
Could be.
It's good for. I mean, it's good for him.
It gets you publicity, but it makes you look good at the same time. It's like, oh, what? He's in the news? Oh, wait, but it's because he wouldn't eat a dog. Well, yeah, well that's good. I like that.
And it lends to this, like, again, whether it's if this conspiracy theory that I just wove together out of nowhere is true, that they started it themselves, it at least appears to the general public of this is the level that the major players are willing to stoop to keep him out of the game. They wanted to discredit him at this level.
Double, yeah.
Like they're willing to go back to a 50-year-old picture of him eating some sort of meat and get some random person to look at the picture and say, "You think that's a dog in that picture?" Yeah, that's a dog in that picture. This motherfucker eats dogs. That's how much.
I mean, that's the absurdness of publicity nowadays.
No, but it's good. But
like
again,
anything is possible, and that's what like makes almost anything believable.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I like it scares. Like it scares me so bad. Like so much of this stuff, like the deep fake stuff that's out there.
Right.
There's not even good deep fake stuff out there. It's just audio over. Like it's decent audio
stuff that looks obviously fake, but still fakes a lot of people.
I'm right. I mean, I don't even care that it fakes a lot of people out. It's like but even the stuff that looks real, we don't know if it's real anymore. That's the problem. Like there is stuff out there that is just like that is. It is, yeah. There is stuff out there that's fucking good.
Right.
That's real good. Like, I mean, again, full tinfoil hat. I'm making this up on the fly. I don't believe it in one iota of. But, like, you were making fun of me last week for referencing the video. Have you seen the video of Biden post-debate yet? When he was walked off stage?
No.
Okay. Like, you were making fun of me for referencing that, and I acknowledged at the time that could have been faked. It could have been slowed down. There could have been a lot
I
of different
acknowledged
stuff
at the time that I didn't know what specific video you were talking about. That I was more aghast at other videos that had already been like reported from like the previous incident or whatever.
Okay, but anyway, my point is like I referenced that thinking like it truly thinking that it was real, and then your pushback for whatever got me thinking about, I mean, it's perfectly possible. It's perfectly possible that it's not even remotely real. And I don't know. And there's no way for me to know. And I'm going to sit, and it doesn't matter. I mean, that among 10,000 other things, Joe Biden's too old. I wouldn't vote for him as a Democrat. There's 1,000 reasons I'm not voting for Joe Biden. That's not changing it for me. But there are people out there.
I mean, it's at this point, you're basically finding a computer scientist to try to prove if something has been deepfaked or not.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a real problem.
Depending on the computer algorithm, like, it's 98% certain that It's like, let's fucking computer trying to diagnose a computer of whether or not a computer did something.
Yes. Yeah. We're fucked.
Yeah.
We're fucked. I guess just the long and short of it is like, I don't know, like, I mean, you know, because the people that can and will, there's no, I can't imagine a disincentive being put in place to stop somebody from using it for their own ends.
That's where a good level of skepticism is healthy.
Yeah, but we don't.
I
You know, that's the. I mean, me and you might have that, but we don't have that. Although you give me shit for being like overly cynical, which is a step above skeptical, I guess. But like you like to give me shit about being super cynical about everything. But cynical and skeptical is not the same.
Not really.
I mean, I don't know. My cynical is that it's intentionally. Cynical is I don't know. Cynical is there is an intentional malfeasance on the parties involved in whatever it is.
Cynical is like pretending that you know, or pretending that you do know, pretending that you don't know, but alluding to the fact that you do know. I think. I don't know.
Definitions. Google that shit. Okay, so I got a text message back from Garrett.
Oh gosh.
So
now he knows.
And he said, "What about him?" I said, "Your campaign texted me about supporting schools." He said, "Sorry, I didn't know what you were referencing." It's like, he says, "I do think it's something we need to be adamant about supporting and advocating for, especially as of late."
Giving him airtime.
I said, "How does county commission support schools?" He said, "For a guy who runs a show with Scott and Jesse every week, I'd expect you know some of these answers. From a high-level perspective, it's solely just budgeting and monetary allocation. I do think we have the capacity to advocate for that, along with other potential incentives of the school board and KCS administration. But I think everyone is fooling you if their answer isn't money." It's a decent save, Garrett. I'll give you that. Because that is the only thing you can actually do is money.
Yeah.
Or you can use your platform. You can use your platform to advocate for more school shit. Which
it's possible.
I mean, it says it's 100% possible. It's not your fucking job, and that's what I get pissy about. Like that's what I like. That's the under. That is why that is one of those things. Like that is why it's an automatic for me. If you come to my door, knock on my door, and tell me about something you're going to do as an elected official and something that the job isn't, and if I call you on it and your response to is, "Well, I can use my platform to push this," well, fuck your platform. Do your fucking job. We have people in that platform. We have people that actually have the job in that platform that we elect. And let's lean on them to do that as the constituency, not you. Okay, fun stuff in elections. Okay, sorry. City of Knoxville and County Commission are both meeting next week separately to discuss some charter amendments involving elections. County Commission is discussing putting a ballot item on this November's ballot to add 2 at-larges to the school board. So basically the school board body will mirror the county commission body. 9 districts, 2 at-larges. School board right now is just 9 districts.
Huh.
Now, front end of that, you know, that's more choice, it's more options, it's more points of contact for me, the constituent, with the government body that is the school board. The reality is if you do that in Knox County, that's just 2 more Republicans on the school board. If you want 2 more Republicans on the school board. So when and if these charter amendments come, if that charter amendment comes up, we'll break it down when we actually see the text of it. Because then, if county commission votes to make this a thing and does that whole thing, then it goes to the law department. The law department gets to actually write the ballot item. And as we recall from past ballot items that the law department writes, is they don't necessarily write it in a logical, normal format. Do you remember the last time we had ballot item conversations?
It's a little confusing.
If I recall correctly, it was it's the law department writing a ballot item to specifically about the law department. It was the ballot initiative on whether or not we should elect the law director.
Right.
To which the current law director got elected, so he liked that. So he wanted to keep getting elected, so he wrote it in a way that made it real fucking confusing. And I recall, if I remember correctly, the breakdown of it was yes means no on the ballot. That's really what it broke down to. So anyway, that's one. Yeah. And then the city is meeting because the city is obliged to update their charter because of new election laws, in that the city of Knoxville is required all districts. If you have districted elections, it is now required throughout the state of Tennessee that only the district can vote on their district representative. If you recall, the city does district primaries, but county or citywide general elections for seats. So District 2, for example, which is the West Knoxville district, currently sat by Andrew Roberto. If he has a primary challenger, which again they're nonpartisan, which makes it a whole different little wedge. But if 10 people run for that seat, they go to the primary. The top 2 go on to the general. But in that primary of the top to get to that top 2, only people who live in District 2 can vote in that primary. Whoever those 2 are that move on to the general, the entire city of Knoxville gets to vote on them. That is now against state law, and they have to update that. And even if they put this charter amendment in, and even if the city of Knoxville, as a populace, does not vote on changing this charter item, they have to do it anyway. There's some other stuff that they're thinking about tagging on to it, apparently, including changing some of the ballot pairings. Again, for you city voters out there, districts 1, 2, 3, 4 vote on one cycle. 5, the at-larges and the mayor vote on a different cycle. And so they're talking about bringing 5 over to vote with the other ones, stuff like that. So there's a couple things that might change in electability, in election issues here locally. Some of it has to change, but most of it is optional stuff. So I don't know. Any thoughts on the school board one before? What do you think about having more school board representatives and having an at-large one at that?
So they're wanting to increase it by 2?
Right. So currently the school board is 9 districts.
Right. And they want to have 9 plus 2 at-large.
Correct. So the government accountability part of it is, let's say, District 4. I am here in District 4. I don't get along with Cat Bike. Like we just don't like each other personally, for whatever reason. And so when I go with a grievance to her about something going on in the schools that I want her to deal with as my school board rep, I don't know if she's going to handle that because she doesn't like me and I don't like her and whatever. But if I have an at-large option or 2, I can then go to my at-larges and be like, hey, me and my school board rep don't get along, but you are also on the school board because you're also my school board rep because you're the school board rep of the entire county. I have this issue. Cat Bike's not going to pick it up for me because we don't like each other. Can you take this issue up for me? So it gives me more options as a constituent, which is not a bad thing, theoretically.
Right.
And especially, like, theoretically, if I was a partisan hack, since school board is now partisan, I could imagine that if I was a right-leaning person and not in District 4, dealing with Cat Bike, who is a left-leaning person, is problematic, and so I'd rather talk to a Republican, and the Republicans will be the at-large seat, so I can go and talk to my Republican friends. Which is funny. Like, what bothers me about it is that every single fucking one of them, every fucking time you talk to them, I understand that this is a districted race or whatever, but I work for all of Knox County. I'm asking for this job for all of Knox County. That's what they all say that they're, they all campaign on. Yes, I understand that I'm a District 2 representative, but when I get elected, I'm the Knox County.
It's for everybody.
Yeah. Which is fucking bullshit, because when you start fucking bothering them about stuff, if they're not your district rep, they're like, well, bother your rep about it. That's city and county, for that matter. Tommy.
No.
I'm just picking one on. I've got city issues, but whatever. I don't like that. And so, I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, again,
I like it in theory if it worked the way it was supposed to, but more often than not, it's not going to work out the way it's intended to.
On the pure politics, on the real politique side of the conversation, this is really just going to take a 5-4 left-right or right-left body and make it a 7-4 right-left body. That's the reality. Because you're going to take what currently is, it's currently 5 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 2 independents. A handful of those are on the ballot right now, but assuming that part doesn't change, but we added 2 at-larges, it would just be 7 Republicans, 2 independents, and 2 Democrats. Now, both independents are left-leaning, so they're basically Democrats. Anyway, both of them actually are Democrats who run as independents because they hate the idea that it's a partisan race.
Yeah.
Which, I appreciate that for their end of it. But, yeah, so, yeah, right. On a very, like, naive level, yes, I agree with you. Like, I like the idea of having more points of contact for me as a constituent. But functionally, that's not how it's really going to pan out. It's just going to pan out that it's going to make the body more left or right, and it works both ways. It doesn't really matter. It's just that this body is going to be right.
I mean, how does that work in voting wise?
What do you mean?
If you're voting for a particular person in that seat, do you then have a separate, I guess, like at-large district for the school board?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It would be the same as county commission. Like when I don't know the timing of the ballots anymore, but I do sort of. District 4 county commission is on the ballot right now. The at-large A and B for the county are on the opposite ballot. I can vote. I will vote for District 4 county commissioner, and then 2 years from now, I will vote for at-large A and B. If they're on the same ballot, it would be all on the same ballot. It's just the way they line up is separately. So if they add 2 at-larges in school board, I will vote for my District 4 school board rep and my at-large A and B. The A and B are at-large. They're countywide.
Right.
It wouldn't be too new. It wouldn't be like east-west or north-south is A and B. It's that both of them are countywide.
But you can run for that particular position to be the at-large?
Yeah, you select that when you're picking your ballot.
Okay.
When you're pulling a petition.
No, I mean as far as a candidate. I can choose to run as the at-large candidate.
A. Right. Not just that. You're picking, I'm running as at-large A or I'm running as at-large B. We talked about it in the city races last year.
But you couldn't run for both. You couldn't be like, hey, I'm in District 5 or whatever.
Correct. You can't run for your home district and an at-large.
Okay.
You can't run for A and B. You can only run for one or the other. So for right, because I remember we talked about it in the city race, and I can't remember some of the names. I think it was Matt Best, Amelia, and somebody else were running for that at-large seat that Amelia holds.
For the city
council,
yeah.
Right. And the conversation was Matt Best took that at-large A, I think is what it is, but Matt Best was told to take A because they were trying to get Amelia out. He was intentionally put against Amelia, not because B and C were both on the ballot, and it's like, well, Matt Best might have done better in B, or it might have been a different combination of things in B. And so like I remember we talked about, I can't remember the specifics, but it's basically like Debbie Helsley, Matt Best, and one other person were ABC. And it's like, well, why did they go ABC like that? It seems kind of intentional because A was against this person, B was against that person, C was against this person. Debbie, it was intentional.
Yeah.
Or at least it seemed intentional. I don't have any evidence of that statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's interesting, fun stuff. I'm looking forward to checking out. I get to meet Ponyboy on Sunday.
Who dat? Like Ponyboy from The Outsiders?
C. Thomas Howell. Is that something Thomas Howell?
I think so.
Thomas C. Howell.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he is in town this weekend for a Fanboy Expo. I think he's there for Fanboy. And Central Cinema has an event with him for a showing of some movie, not that movie, and a meet and greet with him. And we are assisting and hosting that meet and greet.
Nice.
And really, as much as I don't really care, honestly. Like I don't remember the story that well to think that I don't have some specific affinity, but it is kind of it's a particular special event that we are hosting that I want to be very I want to be very careful with doing a good job on, so that we can maybe do some of these in the future. Like, this is an investment of my energy into getting more things like this down the road for us, so that maybe we can host somebody that I actually want to meet.
I don't think C. Thomas Hall was in...
Howell.
Howell, yeah. I don't think he was in The Outsiders.
He is Ponyboy.
Oh, is he Ponyboy? Okay.
I might have said the wrong name. But... Yeah,
I might be thinking of the wrong person.
I don't know. I keep screwing this up.
Okay, yeah. I think I was thinking of the wrong
No, that's
person.
not the right guy. I'm thinking of the... Yeah.
No, that's Ponyboy.
Hold on.
Yeah, it was him and Ralph Macchio.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's him. I don't know. I'm so fucking...
I was picturing somebody else in my head. We made the right references. You said The Outsiders.
Well, now I'm like...
Ponyboy, and I said Outsiders, yeah.
And now I'm thinking I might be wrong on who we're talking about. It might be a different person. Tom Cruise was in that shit? I didn't remember that part.
Was he like Soda Pop?
I remember everybody else. I don't remember him.
Yeah. Swayze was in it. Rob Lowe was in it. Yeah. Emilio Estevez.
Emilio!
Leif Garrett. What?
I might have screwed this up again. I don't know. Anyway, because he's got a country album, too. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that who you're thinking of that's coming?
I don't know anymore.
Okay.
Without going into...
Somebody's coming. You're going to get to see him. It's going to be awesome.
Again, the moral of the story I'm trying to get to here is, like, this is a particularly, like, niche thing that we can provide as a service for different events, and I want to make sure it goes well.
Right.
And so I'm going to go down and meet the person. And now I'm questioning whether or not I'm thinking of the right person. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't know. What else is going on, friend?
Let's see. Euros are down to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah. Watched a little bit of that. Netherlands made that comeback. Thank Jesus. I would have lost a lot of money on that game. I bet on the orange at a -1.
Copa's down to the finals.
Still mad at the Americans. Is there been any coach talk?
Pretty sure they fired him
his
yesterday.
Fuck yeah.
I think they let him go yesterday.
Yes. Okay. It is definitely... I don't know. Whoever's coming, his last name is Howell. I went and verified in an email to make sure. I'm pretty sure. I thought it was him. He's got a country album that's okay.
Yeah, that's probably the same guy because I think you were pulling up pretty similar things to it.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Hurricane hitting Teja.
I did get some emails that some shit that I've ordered on the internet are going to be late because of the Hurricane Benicio, something.
No, had some like weird name.
I don't know. Anything? Okay. Here, this is a legit question because I haven't been up. I'm not up to speed.
You think I am?
Out of the UN summit, was there any conversation? Like, I know Zelensky was there. I know Biden had talked about, and I don't know if it was that presser or somewhere else.
I think that's where he
ceasefire action in.
I think that's where he misintroduced Zelensky and introduced him as Putin.
Yeah.
But I guess it didn't go horribly because there hasn't been a whole lot of talk of it since. So I guess he read the teleprompter all right.
I mean, like I said, it was...
With the man without glasses, he reads pretty well.
I mean...
A lot of the speeches you see him doing, like, I think he's speaking pretty well, or at least reading and speaking relatively well.
Okay. I mean, if is that the parameter? Like, he can read and his eyesight's okay?
to an extent, when you try to say, I guess when there's a thing that he's just this old man that can't read, can't do anything.
I mean, the whole Parkinson's thing has been an interesting development. Like Parkinson's, apparently,
I haven't read
again
about that.
Again, on the same group of people who are willing to say that RFK Jr. is eating dogs because they saw a picture of him eating something.
Right.
The same general group of people is diagnosing President Biden with Parkinson's. Although there was an interesting one.
I don't think that crowd is the same numbers, but sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Same. All right. Anyway, there was a Parkinson's specialist that visited the White House a bunch of times, and there's a big argument about that at some White House press conferences. That's been kind of fun. Have you ever watched a White House press conference with Jean-Pierre, whatever the fuck her name is?
Yeah, just bits and pieces. Never a full one.
It gets pretty fun. Like, there's this weird, like, they all know each other. Like, everybody in the room knows each other. Like, all the reporters have been working that room for as long, like, most of them have been there longer than the current press secretary has been there.
Some of them, yeah.
And so, like, everybody knows each other by name, and, like, at least as of late, the press corps has gotten a little bit more aggressive, and it's been amazing. Because they're like, okay, so apparently the White House visitors log is public record, and so public record comes out, people do some research, figure out that this guy who's visited the White House, and the log actually says name and who you're here to see. Like, that's what's public record.
Yeah.
And so this guy who's here to see the Biden family, I think is what his note said or whatever. And some good reporters do a little digging, and they find out this guy is a Parkinson's specialist. And so they're asking the White House secretary, press secretary, why is this Parkinson's? Who in the Biden family is this Parkinson's specialist visiting the White House to see? And she's like, for national security's sake, I can't tell you. And they're like, what? You can't tell me who the doctor is, or you can't tell me who they're seeing. And like, I can't tell you who the doctor is. Like, we know who the doctor is. It's public record. And so it's like this weird ass scene of the press secretary trying to just like refusing to answer the question, but also like kind of denying that the person even came to the White House at the same time. It was a crazy scene. Anyway, moral of the story is they're kind of fun to watch.
I saw something about that. I don't know. I hadn't read the story, but there was questions about a neurologist that had been to the White House as of late.
Yeah, it's I don't know. That was a current fun one that I was kind of messing with.
I would have believed it had you not added in the Parkinson's specialist, and that little thing just kind of like throws me off. And I'm like, no, wait, what?
Okay, I might have misquoted it, but it was at least a neurologist of some sort. But I believe it was a Parkinson's specialist. Maybe it's just a neurologist. I might be wrong.
It could have just been a neurologist, but sorry, I was just taking off the take you took from something talking about like a Parkinson's specialist. Is that I don't think there's any kind of signs of Parkinson's in Biden. So sorry, I took that as whatever article you read saying a Parkinson's specialist.
Separate, there was separate. Okay, to clarify, there were separate people who were saying that they are Parkinson's specialists, that by watching Biden on television they can see that he would be a Parkinson's patient of theirs. Separately. A not equaling B.
Right.
The doctor that goes to the White House not being the doctor who said on whatever, News Max or whatever it was, that he is displaying telltale signs of Parkinsonism.
I mean, the only thing I know about Parkinson's is just kind of involuntary movements. I don't think he's exhibited any of that. There could be other parts of Parkinson's that I don't know about.
Like I know shit about shit in that topic. I mean, the moral of the story is the motherfucker is old. There's no question about that.
Yes. He's
old, and he is not at the capacity that the person whom is running this nation should be. I think that is a fair statement. I don't think that is... I understand that the alternative is so bad that you're willing to put up with it. But in an ideal world, this would not be the options we're looking at. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Like, and by stating the fact that this man is too old to be this, does not mean that I am supporting the other. I'm just stating the fact that this guy is not fit for the job, nor is his best opponent. Neither of them are fit for the job. This is a indictment of us and the system at large that this is what it has come to. That is my stance on this whole thing. I'm going to make fun and I'm going to point out the fact that Joe Biden is old and he should not be the president of the United States. That does not mean I support President Trump, because he's a shitbag and he should not be the president of the United States. Now what? That's, like, I don't know what else to fucking say. Like, that is it is so, okay. The last topic, and I'll move, like, to give us a little bit of play. So I was cooking dinner tonight, and I put on a random playlist I have, and some Rage Against the Machine came on. And I'm listening to Rage. I don't remember which Rage song it was. They're all the same. They're all government sucks, blah, 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 all this kind of shit. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, one, when I got into Rage, I was in a wholly different headspace or whatever. But when I got into Rage and actually started paying attention to what he was actually talking about and started thinking about it and stuff like that, maybe that's the beginnings of my anti-governmental whatever crazy fucking bullshit I got or whatever. But it's like the same shit that Rage was doing in the mid-'90s. The same problems, the same issues. And, like, philosophically, I am like, my solution process is the absolute opposite of LaRoche's lyrical plan. He's a socialist, like, that was his thing. I'm absolutely not a socialist, but whatever. But I was sitting there and I was listening, like, the song was coming on, I was cooking some eggs, I was doing my thing, and I'm thinking, I was like, it's 2024. This song is as applicable today as it was 30 fucking years ago when it came out. That's a problem. That's scary.
Well, I mean, I don't really see it as much. I mean, there's always social tensions going through decades. As far as
maybe and to be fair, to be generous in thought process here, it may be that at that point in my life I saw that big swell. And it resonated well with me at that point in my life in the mid-late 90s. And that the current picture is lining up well with how I perceive what's going on. It may not be quote-unquote reality. I think it's reality. I think it's always been reality. I think it's the same old reality. But either way, it could be a swell, and it could be where my attention has changed over time and come back to. It could be a lot of things, but I don't think so. I think it's consistent. I think it's a consistent norm. I think, it'd make a difference if I could remember which song and which set of lyrics I'm referencing right now, but it's generally speaking the same. I could look it up.
We tend to cycle a lot of issues because they are consistent issues that kind of ebb and flow throughout society.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. But, like, where's the progress? Where's the conversation about we're progressing as people if we can't get over... I believe the song... sorry. I looked it up. It was Know Your Enemy. I don't want to actually play it. Anyway. So if you want to look up Know Your Enemy and think about it in reference to the world we live in now versus the world we lived in 1996 or 7 or whatever that album came out. So 94, 95 when they was writing that song. I mean, I don't think so. Like, I mean, like, okay. When I was in middle school, still lived in Wisconsin, it was when we were in Desert Storm, right? I remember trading cards at the fucking gas station. We could buy soldier, like, Tops had put out a set of U.S. military trading cards.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
But I got to General Schwarzkopf. I was really excited about it. But I don't know. I'm kind of on like 7 different train slots at the same time here. I don't think we have progressed as a society in 30 years. And the question I think the real question I have is, have we progressed as a society in 50 years, in 100 years? The missus is listening to it was a book.
Progressed, but I think it's a lot of the issues are just constant reoccurring issues that we never.
Okay, so what does that mean though? If it's like a constant issue, what does that mean? Like, what is that like? What is the okay? So the underlying issue of, I don't know, tribalism, which is a real thing. I think that's a real genetic thing that we can't help ourselves with.
Right, and that whole kind of idea of tribalism can kind of extend to kind of other aspects.
Right, but I think the point, I guess I think the question I have is like, okay, well, then can we acknowledge it and try to build a framework within it instead of trying to beat it over the head into extinction? Because it seems to me that tribalism is not extinctable. It is too inherent in our psyches that we're going to take on a tribalism aspect no matter what we do. I mean, and it could be so ridiculous as getting to the point of the tribalist versus the anti-tribalist. Like, that is the new tribe, is I'm the anti-tribalist tribe. Because I think it's there. And so progress is trying to figure out how to adjust to the reality, not how to make the reality adjust to what we want it to be. I guess that's my overly alcohol-induced version of thought process. Because if we're not really changing, because okay, so I was about to tell, so the missus listened to a podcast or a book on tape that she was listening to, and there was a segment of it where basically what they were trying to kind of point out was how little things have really changed. And so basically what they did is they took the execution of Saddam Hussein and wrote it in like a Babylonian, like in the feel of like an old Babylonian like manuscript style. And so like the verbiage and the language and stuff was what we would consider like a translated version of some old Babylonian text. But it's telling the same story. It's basically like, like if somebody invaded Iraq or Babylon or whatever it was 1,000 years ago or 10,000, 5,000 years ago, whatever it is, like somebody invaded and killed the king or the emperor or the whatever, and they hung him, which is what we did. Well, what the Iraqis did for us, whatever you want to call it. But like if you just change the language of telling the story, it's the same story. Is the point that they were trying to make in this thing that we're talking about. It's like if you just change the way the syntax you're using to tell the story, it's the same story that the Middle East has been. Baghdad specifically, because Baghdad's been around for fuck all ever. Right. Like there has been 1,000 kings that have come in and invaded and kicked out 1,000 other kings and hung them in the street and defiled their name and ashamed them in public and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's over and over again. It's like this, like the point is that like if you tell the story of the execution of Saddam Hussein in a different dialect, it sounds like the execution of the Babylonian king from King David or something like that when King David had invaded or whatever. It's the same fucking thing over and over again.
Right, but you can make that story. That's a very easily repeatable story of a new conqueror coming in and the former conqueror.
But that's my point, though. So where's the progress of a civilization at large? Where's the progress when it's a new conqueror that kills the old one and hangs him in the street?
Well, I mean, in ancient times, that's a very common trope of a new conqueror coming in. You're always going to want to seem like you are the newest and greatest. You want to kind of downplay the previous administration, per se.
But I don't think
so. That's going to be a common thing in more modern times where you have, media technology. It is a different thought, yes.
I don't. I guess
where I don't see this as a. In thought, I can see this as has been a repeatable thing. I have a ruler of an Arab nation that has been overthrown and dethroned and exiled.
Historically speaking, I don't even know that it matters that it's an Arab or secular or Christian or Jewish or whatever in the middle. It doesn't. I don't think that part matters. I don't think we have changed as a species. I just don't think we've changed as a species. We've changed the way we've done what we do, but I still think it's empires and conquerors and plebs and warlords and it's over and over again.
To a small extent, yeah, I guess.
All right. Well, on that happy thought, let's find something weird to do.
Yeah, great.
They're as great as you sell them, bruh. Make it great.
The feels
Make News of the Weird great again. I don't know if you're laughing at me or the headline you just read. I'm going to pretend it's me and feel better about myself.
That was you.
Yes.
Let's see here. No, that's not good. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good heartfelt story. Great-grandmother who just finished radiation treatments for breast cancer wins $5 million lottery prize.
And is still in debt for her medical services.
It's possible.
Good on her. Congratulations.
Speaking of circles... there's not really any good ones.
Then I'll close on our accidental coverage of Garrett Holt this week. His response to, so how will you be supporting our public schools? He says, by making sure I'm working collaboratively with our school board and Knox County schools to understand their financial needs, incentives, and ensure that we are working to appropriately fund and or advocate for the needs of the school system. Then he asks, what's my concern surrounding it? It's like, no, you don't. And it's not even you. It's not about you, Garrett, at all on this one. It's that Knox County at large.
Well, you phrase that as a gotcha. Don't.
I didn't phrase it. It is a gotcha. You're talking about running about public schools, and that's not something you're going to do. Your answer is, I'm going to talk to the school board. Look, I'm sure at some point in history, somebody from county commission has gone to school board and be like, ask for more money. But at the end of the day, the formula is what the formula is. And Knox County Schools is going to ask for the most money that they can within the formula. Period. And Knox County is going to give them as little as they have to by the formula. Period. It is an understood in the system. You're a county commissioner. You have fuck all to do with Knox County Schools. Garrett may have just lost my vote because he's trying to tell me that he's going to help our Knox County Schools. It's just not going to happen. It's not your job. You shouldn't fucking talk about it. It's a problem. Sorry, Garrett. It's not that it's like I don't like. There's a lot of stuff I don't understand about either campaign or anything that county commission's going to do because I don't know. Like there's a lot of stuff like they're running on like decongestion of traffic ways and stuff like that. It's like you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it with the stance you have because nobody is willing to run on. It's not about responsible growth. It's about getting fucking paid for the growth that we're doing. Figuring out a way to maximize our profits as a county for the growth that's coming, whether we like it or not. Figuring out how to manage the growth. And manage the growth doesn't mean denying it. Manage the growth means getting the infrastructure in place so that the growth can function. And the only way we're going to do that is with a tax increase, which none of them will say out loud. And none of them will probably do. It is a bottom line funding issue, and it's like you're not going to run on decongesting West Knoxville in District 4 and somehow adding more funding to schools. That's not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. And by trying to pretend in some little wordy format that is something you're going to do is a lie, and that's what drives me crazy about that thing. That's one of my things. That's one of my things. I'm sorry. Ooh, calm, relax.
Woosah.
We're going to ASMR the last couple of minutes of this broach. I don't know. Early voting. Early voting is upon us. Get out there and vote, people. I put together. Ooh, that's what I'll close this on. I built a little PSA in my immense, not very good editing skills. I built a little PSA for the Compass guys to use. Check it out.
The most important thing to remember is early voting is going on right now. If you are registered to vote, you can go and vote at any of 11 early voting locations around the county. And again, you can find all of the voting information at knoxvotes.org. And you can find all of our election coverage, again, outside the paywall at compassknox.com.
I didn't mean to just fucking do this shit. Thank you, Jesse, for closing us out with a PSA about early voting that's happening. Go to your go to whatever he just said, knoxvotes.org, to find your early voting locations and times and all that kind of crap. Take 35 seconds to go to compassknox.com and just do a little bit of research on the people you get to vote for, because you're kind of fucking around with who you're voting for. Almost Agreement, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, almostagreement.com, check out what we got going on there. Favorite podcast provider, tell your friends about us, text it to some people, do whatever you can do to help us grow the show. Look out for the forthcoming potential Barbarian Productions radio station. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, we'll fuck around and find out. So that's what we do. Anyway, Almost Agreement, everybody. Happy night.
The most important thing to remember is early voting is going on right now.